So moving on now, I want to kind of talk about Stranger Things season 5 as the series just ended on New Year's Eve of holidays. The whole series as a whole just ended, season 5 and everything. I want to kind of give my overall kind of thoughts of just the last season and everything. And I've done this a few times before. I did one back in October for Task. I've done these Witmer critiques a few times here and there. And this one's just going to be no different. I'm going to still do this thought process of it. But I'm specifically kind of like when I did that Curb Your Enthusiasm one, where I also did the final season and everything, and my thought process is there. I'm going to do the same kind of thing here with Stranger Things. Just specifically going to be looking at season 5 and the last season, not any of the previous seasons. I'm not going to be ranking the other seasons. I'm just looking at how the show kind of ended and everything. So that's just kind of my kind of thinking here, so let's kind of get into with it. For season 5 as a whole, I felt the season was just fine. It was okay. It just wasn't great kind of thing. So overall, the stuff I like, the way I usually go about these kind of critiques is talking about like what I liked, what I didn't like, typical kind of things that we normally think about in terms of these kind of reviews and everything. And for this season in particular, and I feel like Stranger Things really kind of got screwed because of like real life kind of things outside of them and everything. Obviously, season 4 was delayed because of COVID and everything, and then they had the actors and writers strike affected this season being as late as it is. And I feel like because of that, obviously there was just such a big jump between like season 3 to season 4 and now season 5 of the kids and their ages and everything. And I just felt like obviously that was one thing I will say I will commend them on, was they actually did a good job in terms of dressing them and makeup, just kind of making them look like the ages they're supposed to be. I feel like because of that, I wasn't the biggest fan that they were breaking the season up in 3 parts. Even though they weren't far apart, for pretty much Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then New Year's, which I feel like at that point just release it all. If you want to release the finale, that's fine, but we've already had to wait long enough for the last season of Stranger Things, and because we had to wait so long for this, it just felt like no matter what was going to happen, it was just going to be underwhelming, and that was pretty much what season 5 was for me. It was pretty underwhelming as a season. Not that it didn't have its moments, not that it didn't have funny moments, not that it didn't tug at your heartstrings, and not that it didn't really tie everything back kind of together and everything. It was just overall, I just feel like they could have been done significantly better with how the story was told, how some of the writing was not the best. It got pretty predictable at times, and the biggest issue I had was stories. They just kind of stretched. Like there wasn't a ton going on with it throughout the season. So like the first part, for instance, thing being the Wheelers essentially being targeted and everything, because Henry is going after young kids, and one of them is now the youngest Wheeler, kind of being in the middle of this whole kind of thing, which also then has Mike and Nancy's mom also get in the way, and they also get attacked by the Demogorgon, and then she gets taken to the Upside Down. So a lot of it is trying to find where she went and everything, and in terms of the Upside Down, which is pretty much all that kind of happens in the first part. There's some little overlapping stuff from like previous in season 4 and stuff, like Dustin and his grieving of Eddie and everything, but there wasn't a ton else going on. And obviously 11 is training and everything, and the other big thing is the government kind of coming in, and because this giant hole is kind of gaped for the with the Upside Down, the government's kind of quarantined that area off, and they've been trying to sneak in and try to find Henry and everything. So, and by the end of it, you find that the government is starting the program, and they find Elle's sister 8, who we hadn't seen since the second season. And then obviously the other one being Will suddenly being able to tap into the hive mind and everything and be able to take some of Henry's powers, which was odd, which was the big kind of finale for the first part, was him saving his friends from the Demogorgon. Outside of that, I just feel like the story's just kind of stretched, so you just kept stretching out these different things, and I know you have to kind of build up and everything. It just felt like it could have been done a lot better. And then part 2, it does get a little bit better, because then you see Max trying to help with all the kids, with Mr. Whatsit and everything, or Henry. That's kind of where the second part kind of takes off, is where all the kids were now taken. And again, similar sort of thing is and because again, all the kids have been separated, trying to bring them all back together. So again, it's another thing there, kind of like season 4, where like I feel like the whole season was them all trying to get back to one generalized location and everything. I felt like that had the same kind of thing for season 5 too, for this season. But yeah, that's kind of mostly for season 5, was them trying to, or being able to escape Henry's mind and everything and get back into the real kind of world. This is where you start getting a little bit more like the emotional. You start seeing that Will, who's fighting off his like sexual like desires and everything, being gay and everything, and kind of closeting himself off from everybody, and that kind of being his weakness or whatever. That's kind of another overarching thing, which was fine. Again, I just felt like the whole series as a whole was just kind of underwhelming. And then once you get into the finale, the biggest letdown for me was that I was hoping for, because they were kind of building to it, but 11 didn't do that much in terms of fighting Vecna. I wanted that like final battle and everything to be a lot more like epic. I wanted to see more like Demogorgons coming out, or like the other monsters that you saw in the Upside Down just come out and try to like attack, but it just wasn't. It was very simple, very basic kind of fight, and the reason why she won was because Will was able to tap in and essentially stab him, and then I guess he was slowly coming back, so then Joyce killed him with an axe, took his head off. I felt like that last little battle and everything, I just wanted more from that and everything. That was just one of the bigger kind of letdowns for me. So if I had to give Stranger Things 5 an overall rating and overall score, and my score rating is similar to that of like a Rotten Tomatoes 0 to 100. For this, I'd probably give it an 80. And I feel like that's kind of being generous, because there is a lot in season 5 that I just wasn't the biggest fan of. Some of the special effects I felt were kind of cheapened a bit. I feel like you could tell more of using green screen or CGI and stuff, and because of that, it just made me like not into the story. The emotional elements to this story, to Stranger Things, is still good enough. If you were a fan of Stranger Things and you aren't like that interested and don't care about that like special effecty kind of stuff like I was, you probably still like the season. It'll still have its moments for you. It's just, there's just things with that, how the story kind of played out and how it ended. It just wasn't the best. That's why it's, for me, I put it down in the low 80s. So, and if you've seen Stranger Things 5 or any of the Stranger Things, leave a comment below what you guys thought of it. Are you like me, where I felt like season 5 was kind of underwhelming, or are you everything? Yeah, so leave a comment down below what you guys kind of thought.